Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Pup. We are back with another new league. We are a part of the ICP lower tier draft league with a couple of my friends from the BBR-D league, including Mario B and the Pokey Professor as admins. We've also got CJ in there, Bope in there, and a couple of other fun friends that I've played against or haven't played against. It's going to be a really good time. But basically, this is lower tier season like you've seen in the GWA, where we have 70 points to pick up 9 to 11 Pokemon that are about normal 12 point tier or lower. So that's your highest tier that you're looking at, is that 12. We're looking at stuff like Hisuian Arcanine, Hisuian Gudra, Iron Jugulus, stuff like that. That's all options for us here, but I'm really excited to have a fun run in this league. Hopefully we're going to be able to have a good time, and I hope you guys enjoy the lower tier draft content as well, since I don't think we're doing the GWA too soon, but hopefully that'll come soon as well, and we'll have even more to come. This isn't the only draft league that I'm going to be starting this month. We will have 2 other draft leagues starting very, very soon in the first, second, maybe even third week of February. But I'm excited for us to have a good time. Hopefully it won't be too busy for me as we're continuing our other leagues as well. But let's have a good time, and hopefully we drafted well. So this is a 12-person draft. We started off with the #1 overall pick, which is really nice. But in this format that I'm not super familiar with, it's really hard to choose what you're going to pick with your #1 pick. So I decided to pick something that maybe didn't have like the best speed tier, but had a lot of power and a great typing offensively and defensively into basically the entire meta. And that's going to be Primarina. I mean, just an insane Pokemon. Being able to click stuff like Moonblast, Surf, like Choice Spec sets are so strong. It also has coverage to hit other water types with Energy Ball. It has Calm Mind sort of sets that are very, very good. Assault Vest is great. Choice Scarf and Choice Specs are both insane. Calm Mind Draining Kiss sort of stuff is great. So this Pokemon either very, very good offensively or very, very good defensively, having a really high special defense stat at 116. 126 special attack is also very insane. And it rounds out pretty nicely. Its worst stat is speed. I mean, it still has a pretty decent defense and attack if we need to use that for our flip turn. But the speed isn't even too big of a problem. I don't think in this lower tier league we're going to have to deal with too big of speed tiers, but you're going to see that that's kind of an issue on my team throughout. So you might be seeing Choice Scarf on this Pokemon. You might be seeing me use Trick Room because we did draft that this season. So we're going to have a really fun time with this Pokemon. Hopefully it, proves to be a good #1 overall pick. There were a couple of other options that I was considering, including Terra Captain Sinistra, which went #2 overall. So, I mean, I could have grabbed it because it is very overpowered, but I think Primarina is going to be a great first overall pick and hopefully can lead our team to a championship. Next up, it took like 24 picks to get back to me since I am that first pick, but we do get a wheel, so we get 2 picks in a row. I really wanted to grab something that was going to work super well with Primarina. Maybe it just is a Pokemon that covers all of its weaknesses very, very well, so covering like electric, covering poison, covering grass decently well. Want something that did that and also gave us a little bit more defensive coverage on the team, something that's going to have some hazard control, maybe just letting me not get swept in every single game. So we went with Clodsire here, just perfect for those roles that I asked. It's amazing and resists basically everything that Primarina is weak to, being electric. Grass, it's neutral, but no grass types are really running around that much. Poison we resist, obviously, and it's just a great Pokemon to pair up with it. Basically the only Pokemon on the board that can actually take on a couple of hits from Primarina. But I think T-Spikes are going to be really nice. It's also just nice to have an unaware Pokemon or a water immunity with a water absorb. Great, especially defensive wise. Also, the defense is not too bad if you invest it with that 130 base HP. You can set up Spikes, Stealth Rocks, T-Spikes, you can do whatever you want. It can also be a potential setup sweeper with Curse sort of stuff, and with Recovery. Recover for Recovery, it basically can never die. It's a really low speed tier, but it helps if I do decide to go with some Trick Room sets in the future, which I did grab a setter for that. But yeah, just a very solid Pokemon that obviously had to make the team. I had to get it before anyone else did. I mean, it's a 12 pointer and 11 pointer, so we're spending a lot of points early, as you will see in the next couple of picks as well. But I really wanted to get a very, very top heavy draft here because I think that's what's going to win it in a low tier draft like this. To pair with these 2 Pokemon, I really wanted a Steel type at first, but the 2 best Steel types in the top 12-point tier, Metagross and Scizor, they both went in that first round before it got back to me, which is unfortunate. But I did grab something that I was debating picking up #1 overall, so another 12 pointer. So we're just a heavy hitter here, but is really great. Gives us a great speed tier with potential to boost it even without a choice scarf. It has great coverage, being able to hit with flying, fire, dark, and ground moves, and just an insane amount of special attack. Pokemon that I haven't used, which is going to be Iron Jugulus. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. Being able to set up with potentially Nasty Plot and just being able to sweep. It has booster energy speed, so you don't have to lock yourself in with a choice scarf. But you can also run something like a Meteor Beam set with Power Herb, which is really nice. It can cover a lot of its resists as well, with coverage like Earth Power and Flamethrower that cover the Steel types, Rock types, potentially Electric types that might want to resist a Hurricane. Dark Pulse you can always get a bunch of flinches with if you need, and it's just really solid across the board. The stats, I mean, the lowest is 80 special defense, but 80 special defense, 86 defense, and 94 HP actually makes this thing decently bulky, so you can use that as a really good setup sweeper, and if you get it going in the game, then you're going to be completely fine. We have to worry about Stealth Rocks because I don't want to put heavy duty boots on this Pokemon a lot. You're probably going to see a lot of like Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, Booster Energy, maybe Power Herb a couple times, maybe Life Orb sort of thing. But I want to set up, I want to sweep with this Pokemon, and I feel like it's going to be able to do that very easily with Primarina and Clodsire by its side. After that pick, we had to wait literally forever, another like 24 picks, basically 2 full rounds before we got our other pick. So I was expecting everything great to be gone, but this is the time where I should talk about our Terra Captains in this league. We have to have 2 Terra Captains that add up to 11 points. You can have a 10 point and a 1 point. You can have 9 and 2, 8 and 3, which is what we decided to do. And they have 3 Terra types. One of them has to be Stab. Just a nice typical format, something like we saw in the SPDA, just a couple weeks ago. But I decided to go with a familiar Terra Captain like we saw in that league, which is going to be Hisuian Electrode for 8 points as a Terra Captain. It's an absolute steal. I mean, it just hits so hard and is so fast. It really fixes my speed tiers. It is one of the only fast Pokemon on my team, but it has a pretty respectable 80 special attack and can cover all of its weaknesses. Really, you don't like to see dragon types, ground types, if they're like dual type sort of thing. So you smack Terra Ice on that Pokemon, Terra Blast, you just break through. Terra Electric is really strong if you don't see ground types on the other side's team, and even if you do, you can usually take care of them with Leaf Storm or Giga Drain depending on what kind of Pokemon it is. But I also decided to go with Terra Fire on it instead of, I think in the other league we went with Terra Fairy and Terra Steel on this. I think that Terra Fire is going to be really nice to deal with the opposing Steel types that I find issue with. Pokemon like Scizor, Metagross are really good in this metagame. They're like some of those top tiers that I feel like we should really be able to handle. It's also nice if we come up against any like super defensive grass types that we wouldn't normally be able to break through with Electrode, but it's just really nice. I used it very offensively in the SPDA, but you can also use it as like a fast taunter to prevent hazards. You have Leech Seed as well with support, Leech Seed sub sort of stuff. It has Foul Play if you want to deter setup sweeping, which we might have to do this season. Not the best defenses, but definitely you can do it. I mean, you can run it defensively. You can run it with a Leech Seed sort of set, but it's really going to be a fast offensive pivot, and I think it's going to work perfectly with our team. That can especially, like, we can spam Volt Switch when we have Primarina on our side that can destroy ground types, and obviously we have Terra Ice and Grass moves that can destroy them as well. So we only spent a couple points on that Pokemon. Now I want to be a heavy spender again. We already have 2 12 pointers, an 11 pointer, and an 8 pointer. I'm going back into that top tier for another 12 pointer. We're picking up Hisuian Goodra. Really need a dragon type, really need a steel type, more importantly, just to be able to, it's just a really nice defensive typing. Obviously, we're not resisting Fairy with this Pokemon, but we do have Clodsire that's pretty good for that. But Hisuian Goodra just has insane stats. Look at that spread. Very good, especially defensive-wise. Obviously, Clodsire is as well, but this can run physically defensive as well with stuff like Iron Defense or Acid Armor. Has a great attack and special attack. Usually you see it using its special attack, but you can run like Body Press and Knockoff. It has great coverage on the physical side, Earthquake sort of stuff that I don't have listed here, and then great HP as well. It's also a Grass Immunity. It's a 4 times resist if you don't want to run that Sap Sipper ability. Gooey is nice as well to deter setup sweepers that are physical, because if they make contact with you, you're lowering their speed, which is really nice. I also think it's important to have a good flying resist on the team. There's not that many great flying types in this low tier format, but the flying types that are there are very, very threatening. I think it's one of the best types, or maybe the best offensive type in the metagame right now. So having a nice resist for that is really, really good. Obviously, we're not going to resist fighting, which a lot of them like to run close combat as well, but it's nice to make sure that they're not able to choice scarf or choice ban themselves just into Brave Bird, since I knew like something like Star After was in that top tier that could be really threatening for my team at this point. But this Pokemon has great coverage. You can run it, you know, very offensively, Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, Choice Banded even. You can run it very defensively with like Leftovers, Iron Defense, Dragon Tail sort of stuff to deter setup. Or you can just run it more mixed like Assault Vest, very, very especially bulky. You can run Max Fizz Def on that as well, and it just never dies to anything. If you pair it with some hazard setting, you can Dragon Tail forever and basically just be able to win the game on the spot. This Pokemon is so good, and getting it in the 5th round, complete steal. Now we have literally like 10 points. That's not true. We have, I think, like 15 points for 4 Pokemon after that. So it's going to be tough, but I think the top 5 of the team very much justifies the lower end that we're going to see next. As we dip into the lower tiers for our next Pokemon, I know that I need a Rapid Spinner on this team. It has to support Iron Jugulus a little bit, support potentially Terra Ice or Terra Fire Electrode. So I wanted to go with something that has spin, pretty reliable, can run Assault Vest. It's very specially defensive, but doesn't have to run in that role because of our team being very specially defensive by default. And right now we have a ton of special attackers on their team, so I had to pick something that was physically attacking. So we picked Komala. It soaks up all sorts of status, which is nice with its Comatose ability. Has a very high attack, so you can run this thing very offensively if you'd like. It's really strong. I've seen stuff like Scarf, Wood Hammer plus Double Edge. It has Sucker Punch, Superpower, Ice Spinner, Iron Head, Earthquake, Knockoff, U-Turn. Just great coverage on this Pokemon, but it's a great supporter too. I don't even have listed that it has a Wish support. You know, Swords Dance sort of sets are really strong as well. It can work in the Trick Room mode that we're going to see on the team, but we're mostly just drafting it for that Rapid Spin. I had to draft it, although it's a 3-point Pokemon in this round, just because I didn't want anyone else to grab it, because it's a great steal for 3 points and great on our team. I feel like in the lower tier, you know, format here, you're not going to have that many Pokemon that are just going to be one-shotting it out of the gate like that, especially when you can afford to invest a ton in your HP and defense stats, since you don't need the special defense as much, being on this team with a bunch of very, very good special defensive walls. I feel like this Pokemon is going to put in a lot of work and is probably going to be the most likely 6th on any team. And it's fine if people know mostly what 6 I'm bringing or mostly what 5 I'm bringing. The rest of the 4 are definitely good, I will say that, but Komala is really nice just to have a Rapid Spinner on our team that'll come often enough to prevent our opponents from always just spike stacking us. But now I have so many specially defensive Pokemon on my team, I thought I needed to grab one thing that had pretty good physical defense, also has a decent amount of speed, and doubling up on that fairy typing, which is always just pretty good to have, has Wish support for our team as well. You know, just like Komala. This is going to be Dachshund. I mean, really good Pokemon. You can see not the best blender picture of it, since I did that myself. I don't know how to do all the textures to make it look fluffy and not look like a ragdoll, but it's still fine. It works good enough. But very good defense. 115 is really nice for us. Doesn't have that big of an HP stat, but it's still really nice. Having a decent attack stat with 95 speed, which just fills in a nice gap for our team. It's a fire immunity, being able to gain some defense if we get hit by that, which is nice, since my fire resist right now is Primarina, which we don't really want to be using as a fire resist in every single game. But this Pokemon, I mean, it's just really nice to be able to click like Roar versus Setup Sweepers. Body Press is really nice off of that really high physically defensive stat. Play Rough just hits like a truck. I mean, people do not want to switch into fairy moves, and having 2 good ways to hit, you know, with this and Moonblast from Primarina, I feel really confident in the offense of my team. But you know, obviously this Pokemon looks a little bit more physically defensive, or just mostly defensive in a lot of matchups, and it's going to slot into that role when we need it. It's nice to have Wish support for Pokemon like that Prim, like that Goodra, maybe Assault Vest Komala if we do bring that instead of Wish on that Pokemon. So it fits a really good role in this, you know, in the slot. I think it was only 5 points. So yeah, for a 5-point Pokemon, I definitely think it's a steal for what it's going to do for our team, and hopefully it'll come to a couple matches and pull its weight. At this point, I knew I was going to grab the minimum amount of Pokemon, 9, since I did go very, very top heavy. So I had to grab I think I had like 7 points to grab 2 more Pokemon, so I wanted to start off with a 4-pointer here, which is going to be really good. Just has great stats, but not the best move pool. I mean, maybe not the best typing, I guess, but it's really decent on our team. Actually provides us the Trick Room support, which we can use with a good amount of members on the team. And it has another immunity, has Intimidate, Frisk, really nice in Draft League. That's going to be Weird. I mean, just a good Pokemon that's held back by its normal and psychic typing, but it can be really nice Agility, Calm Mind, Stored Power sort of sets. It can be ran physically or special attacking with stuff like Thunderbolt, Psyshock, Energy Ball on the special side, Earthquake, Psy Shield, Bash, and more on the physical side. Really nice. It can, be a more supportive Pokemon with that Intimidate ability or Frisk, trying to figure out what kind of items my opponent has. Thunder Wave is great as speed control. Trick, also you can trick Choice Scarf, Choice Band, Iron Balls, anything like that to really just be a good supportive Pokemon. Or Trick Room is really nice for the rest of my team. If I Trick Room and then potentially get a free switch out into like Primarina that's really slow or something like that, I can just run Choice Specs on that Pokemon and absolutely destroy. Even this Pokemon under Trick Room is really nice. The speed stat isn't incredibly low, being only at base 65, whereas most of my team kind of sits around there in that range, but that's totally fine. I feel like a lot of teams are going to go for all-out speed, or they probably won't even expect the Trick Room from me. Seeing this Weird is my only setter here, and is only at 65, so they're not going to expect it, and they're never going to see it coming when we hit them with it. And finally, you guys know I need another Terra Captain, a 3-pointer, so I decided to go with a great wall of a Pokemon that hits very, very hard with Body Press off of impressive 168 physical defense. That's going to be Bastiodon. I mean, I've been wanting to use this Pokemon as a Terra Captain for so long. We went with the types of Fighting, Flying, and Steel. Had to go with one of my typing, so I went with Steel there. I would have loved to go Fairy on this, but I think Flying is just really nice to have another immunity to ground on the team, since we don't really love taking ground moves at all. So having this potentially as that sort of ground pivot could be really nice. But, Terra Fairy could have been nice as well, but we do have 2 Fairy types. This Pokemon, I mean, just hits so hard with Body Press. That's why we have the Terra Fighting on the team. Iron Defense plus that, plus Rest, just makes us incredibly strong. We can also hit off of our attack or special attack. There's a lot of special attacking moves, but I have the physical ones here with Earthquake, Iron Head, Stone Edge as like your 2 stabs and Earthquake. You also have Metal Burst, which is like a better sort of counter, which is really nice. Give me another rocker on the team, since right now my rockers are not really good. I mean, it's basically just Clodsire that I'm bringing to every game. But I can run this Pokemon with Stealth Rocks as more of that supportive sort of role, maybe a lead Pokemon. Sturdy, Metal Burst with a Custat Berry sort of thing. Looks really solid into some of these matchups. And then Foul Play, it also deters some setup sweeping. With that Sturdy ability, if you don't have any hazards on your side of the field, you can just run this Pokemon, make sure that you never lose to a setup sweeper ever again, and hopefully that's what we can do. But we also have Soundproof in case we need to fight like a Noivern or something that's going to click Boom Burst versus my team and absolutely destroy me. Although I do have the Goodra, so I don't know why that would destroy me anyways. It's just a nice secondary ability to make people think twice about locking themselves into specific moves. But that is going to be the team. I'm very, very happy with what happened in this draft. I mean, I went really, really top heavy with a lot of great threats. 3 out of that top tier, 1 out of the 11 tier. It's really strong, but I'm really excited. Basically, we're going to bring like the same top 4 or top 5 every week and then slot in a couple of the other Pokemon. But it's going to be a good one. Usually I'm more of the type to, draft 11, 12 Pokemon, even if they're a little bit worse. It's nice in the builder to have them, but I'm trying something a little bit different just since we're in this low tier sort of meta. I think it'll be a little bit better this season, but we'll find that out. Hopefully we'll be able to at least make the playoffs, maybe take home a crown in this one. I would love for that to happen against some great competition. Make sure you guys go check out all the coaches. Their links will be in the description, as well as the Discord server for my Discord and the ICP if you guys want to see what's going on in there, or just talk to me, maybe help me with some prep, because I'm definitely going to need it with the stiff competition that we have here. That's going to be about it for me. If you guys did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.